Archery hunters, listen up. If you find yourself in the heart of King County, do yourself a favor and stop in at Rock Creek Archery, located in Tukwila. They have everything you need if you're just beginning to the sport or you've been shooting for 20 years, even an indoor shooting range. Or check them out at rockcreekarchery.com.
Hey everybody, if you are looking for a game call that is elk, turkey, deer, predator calls, waterfowl calls, we highly recommend PhillipsGameCalls.com. Professional grade game calls made for every hunter.
This section of the broadcast is brought to you by Burpaw, burpaw.com.
Use Ridge15 at checkout to receive a sweet discount. Welcome back to the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Phelps Game Calls, with your hosts, David Crane and David Sandana. Welcome back, everybody. We got another exciting episode today for you. Today we're going to be talking springtime gobblers with Dirk Durham from Phelps Game Calls. This past week we did do the Phelps Game Call giveaway, so those are out to the winners.
Yep, they're in the mail and they're heading over there. We have one over in Yakima, Washington, and in Illinois.
Oh, nice, Illinois.
Yeah, that cost me a lot of money.
That'll get some hard work. We put right to work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me bring Dirk on here. Dirk's joined us through Zoom, which is something we've utilized in our last podcast, and it was pretty good. I think the audience enjoyed it, and it made a more interactive podcast for us.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely
all right.
did.
I'm going to bring Dirk in here. Hey, Dirk, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Good. I was trying to make sure we got the screen set to the right size. Everything looks good. So we got the new game calls in, and we did an episode 2 episodes ago where we were fiddling with them. Man, they're dynamite. They sound really good.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Our opening day is on the 15th of this month, so we're going to go hammer some birds.
Yeah.
All right on. You guys in Washington?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be hunting Eastern Washington. I'm probably going to put in next weekend. I'll probably be doing some West Side Eastern turkey hunting, just because it'll be the youth season, so I'll be able to do that.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, it ends the 7th. It ends this Friday.
Yeah, this weekend.
No, like Friday.
What day is it? I always got to check the calendar, man. I work so much. I'm always like, is it Monday? Is it Wednesday? I don't even know what day it is.
It ends on Friday. It doesn't even go through the weekend.
Oh,
so this past weekend was like the first youth weekend, which I would have took my son out because it's his last year of youth season, but he had track and football and all these other things going on, so he couldn't go. So I was bummed out. Yeah. Didn't get to go and play guide, and play with these new calls and everything. So I was kind of bummed out on that, but he's going to try to get out a weekend in late season, or I'm sorry, not late season, but later in the season, hopefully when track is done. So we'll see.
But we'll get out there sooner or later.
Yeah, I feel you, man. When my kids were that age and busy playing sports, my daughter playing softball, my son playing baseball, and man, it's just really hard to get the time to get your kids out turkey hunting.
Yeah, they it's one of those things, right? You can take them out as much as you can, but then ultimately, when the time comes around, I'm going to be hitting the woods regardless. My wife said, can you help with the coaching on the kids team this year? And I had to ask her how many Saturdays and when does it end, because April 15th I am gone. I was like, that's it for me. My commitment ends on that day. I'm like, taxes and I'm out. It's perfect.
April 15th is the opener here in Idaho too, and my wife's birthday is April 15th.
Oh so my gosh!
It's like every year, like bear and turkey opens on the 15th, and it's like, well, I know what I'm doing on the 15th. Yeah. Not bear and turkey hunting.
Got to push it out.
That's my wedding anniversary, so it's kind of like, do I go or do I don't? But it's 17 years, and she knows what's up now. It's like, hey, this is the thing, That's how it goes down. So, what are you going to do for your opener this year? Are you going to be in Idaho? Is your foot better now, or?
My foot's getting better. I've been going through physical therapy twice a week, and it's ankle, and it's getting better. I'll be able to turkey hunt. Turkey hunting, I mean, you can make it as hard as you want in the end, as far as hiking goes, but you can make it easy as you want too. So I'm going to go to Oregon on the 17th of April and go hunt with a good friend of mine over there. This old timer I met at the Portland Sportsman Show, and turns out he hunted all the Idaho country, backcountry that I hunted growing up as a kid, and he was hunting up there as a young man, and he come up to me at the Phelps booth and started reminiscing, talking about stories and places and bulls, and we just hit it off. And for the last 3 springs, well, this will be the 3rd spring, I've been going over and turkey hunting with him, and just a heck of a good guy and great turkey hunter. So
it's great making friends that way.
Yeah. Are you talking about just this last sportsman show here? Just this last one a couple months ago, or?
No, it was 4 years ago, I think I met him. So this will be the 3rd spring I'll be going over there. And this is crazy. So where I elk hunted growing up, then I don't elk hunt there anymore because just the wolves kind of beat it up pretty bad. So I hunted a different place, and he doesn't know the place I go, right? We never talked about that. And in 2019, I hear a pickup coming, and I tell cameraman Dusty, I said, hide! I can't let anybody see us here.
I tell Dave
I'm driving I've got a pickup that's incognito, nobody knows it's me. This rig pulls up, and they can see us, that somebody was hiding. And he pulls up, and he's like, hey, I see you. And I pop out, and it's my buddy Ron from Oregon. And he's like,
"Oh,
what
that's
the heck
awesome!
Are you doing up here?" It's just such a weird coincidence. It's such a small little world out there that you never know who you're going to run into and have something in common with. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it seems like you meet people all around the place, and this is like the great equalizer. It makes everybody on the same page. I guess maybe an equalizer is not the right term. It's a unifier. Hunting community is like a great unifier, because you meet on no uncertain terms. You just meet in the place you're at, and you have a same like mind and your passion for something, and you start talking about it. And I'm the same way with like fishing spots I've gone to. I'll talk to people and they'll be like, yep, I know exactly, that rock is undeniable. Like you can tell by one little feature. Or there's a tree that I carved something into a couple of years ago, and it says no Elk Hill on it.
Yeah.
So if you ever find yourself in that spot, Dave and I were up there. We did that. That was a good time.
There was elk everywhere.
Yeah. I carved it right above a big rub.
That was awesome.
And we were on bulls 3 days in a row. So
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that was a good time.
So your opener weekend, you're heading to Oregon.
Yeah, so I'll be over there on like a Monday. So the opener week, like on the 15th, that's on a Saturday, I think. So
yeah.
I'll be doing my typical birthday deal. My wife's birthday. We'll celebrate her birthday, go to dinner, and have fun with the kids and stuff. And then I'm going to bounce that Monday. I'm out, and I'll drive to Oregon and hunt for 3 or 4 days probably. So
now, what's an over-the-counter tag and license for Oregon? Because I mean, we're all kind of neighboring states. I wonder. I haven't really looked it up.
I wish I could tell you better. I think I paid it's kind of expensive. So what you do, you can get like a 3-day hunting permit, I think, but I didn't. I couldn't figure it out. I was buying it on my app on my phone, on the Fish and Wildlife app, and I'm like, okay. I bought the whole season hunting license, which was kind of expensive. I think it was like $75, or maybe it was more than that. And then the tag was like $90, I think. So
how many birds is that for $90? Is that 2 tags? Or?
So that's 1 tag, and then you can buy an additional one for another $90. So.
Full price too. They get you both times.
Oh yeah, they like that sweet money, that out of state money. I guess turnabout's fair play. I don't think Idaho does Oregonians any favor either. So they got to give it to us right back.
I was just thinking after Dave said everything's so close, that if they did like a 3-state combo license, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, discounted if you buy all 3 states. But
I would do
cool.
that.
yeah,
Definitely.
Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. I mean, you're probably looking upwards of $2,000, but
but if you're gonna
turkey trifecta.
yeah. I don't know about turkey, but
no, for
anything like
I bought
elk,
an Idaho
deer.
license last season, and I bought a 3-year license because they had a 1-year and a 3-year option. As a non-resident, I didn't want to wait in that pool and be like, well, maybe I won't get a tag or be able to get in and get a tag. So I bought a 3-year license. Unfortunately, I didn't get in the window for the elk or deer tags, but I can still go over the counter for turkey. So now I can go back and go over the counter for turkey.
Turkey, bear, wolf.
Yeah. And maybe you could do it either way, regardless if you got that 3-year deal or not. But I thought it was a pretty good deal. I think they discounted the second, third year a little bit too, because 1 versus 3, the math to me was beneficial to buy 3.
Oh yeah, and I think don't give up on that elk tag because I think it's after July, a certain date in July, they start putting those tags, the ones that get returned, back on sale, and guys pick up some pretty decent tags, once they go back on sale. So
yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be putting in. I'm not going to be putting in. I might actually drive over to Idaho and wait in line to get an elk tag over there.
If you're going to go, I'll ride with you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think that's a must. I think it's time we get out of Washington and start.
For bear?
For elk.
Oh, for elk, yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably buy a bear tag too. Why not?
Yeah.
We don't have spring bear here in Washington. Why not do it over in Idaho?
Yeah, it's pretty close. So
sorry, Dirk, we're gonna be
we're sidewinding the conversation here.
Rabbit holes.
Yeah, but let's go back to turkey. And so what are you going to be bringing in your arsenal for actually just this season?
So call wise or just gear wise, everything, the whole.
Let's go with the whole shebang.
Well, let's start with how you're going to be hunting them and what you're going to be using to get them in.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll start there.
I'm going to be hunting in my Speedo. And, no.
I believed it. I was sitting there,
Wouldn't be the first time.
First light camo. It's the fusion.
Yeah, fusion. But so we're going to be calling turkeys, go run and gun type hunting, locate.
Perfect.
It's almost like my buddy Ron, he hunts turkeys like you do elk. And the crazy guy, he's like 72 years old. He's an older fella and he's kind of rickety, right? He has to walk with walking sticks. But the first time I went turkey hunting with him, that old man drug my ass all over the country. Like, we heard gobbles across this canyon. He's like, let's go. And it was a deep, steep canyon. We crossed the canyon, went over the other side, chased turkeys and gobbles around all day and made a huge loop. It was like a 10-mile day. I was crushed. I was just like, dude, I'm tired. And this old guy was just like killing it. I'm like, holy cow. How did he do it? It was amazing.
Putting it all on the line.
Yeah. But, so we're locating birds, at dawn, and then we're going after, close the gap, just like you would elk, get close, set up, and then try to call them in. In the arsenal, as far as calls goes, we're using, box calls. Ron likes a box call. He likes diaphragms. I'll throw in a diaphragm. I usually let him do the calling because he enjoys it so much. But this year we'll have some pots, some of those new cool Morgenstern pots to try out. And we're just going to go kind of call them in, see what we can do, and try to call them in. And the first year I went over there, it was rough, man. We didn't kill anything. Got close a couple times, and turkeys, they're cagey, man. They pick you off, or if something ain't right, I personally think calling elk is easier than calling turkeys. I feel like elk do things that kind of make sense sometimes, but turkeys, they just don't make any sense at all sometimes. Sometimes they're just coming at you like hard and gobbling their heads off, and then they're just like, oh, squirrel, and then they just kind of go off a different way. They probably have hens or seen a hen or something, but
or a bug.
Bug.
But last year, was fortunate enough to get 2 over there, and it was just a lot of it. Just like you're hearing gobbles, and you're just like getting as close as you can without getting picked off, and then set up real quick and do some calling. It's a lot like setting up for elk. It's funny because a lot of people that's fighting words. Turkeys are like hunting elk, but honestly, there's a lot of similarities, and it was a blast.
Sorry to laugh. I was sitting here and all of a sudden I started panicking. I was like, oh no, did we press record? Did we have the SD card in? Is this thing, everything's good?
Yeah, we're good.
We had a little
I
incident
messed up
last time. Yeah. So we got it all, but
Perfect.
that's awesome. My first time turkey hunting was similar to what you're talking about. Like they didn't have a rhyme or reason to their approach.
Yep.
It just seemed kind of like they went up the hill when we were calling. They went up around us. They came down. They did a little figure eight. Like 10 of them in a row did this figure eight loop following each other. Then they came down, and as soon as they got right to where we were at, they just turned around and went the other way. And obviously I didn't take that shot, and that's the infamous first hunt that I went on. Later that day, we bagged a bird apiece. But the second two, they just came barreling up the hill. They came in. They one was gobbling back to our calls, and one was shot gobbling off the first. So it sounded like a big echo. But it's crazy that they would just meander in. And there's really no rhyme or reason a lot of time. No,
not at all. And it's kind of funny, and that's the chess game of turkey hunting, and that's what makes it so fun and interesting. And it's like that first time, you're out in the woods hunting something, unless you're fortunate enough to have spring bear season and you're hunting bears or something like that. But for us, I love turkey hunting. It's something that I'll probably do until I can't do it anymore, and it's fun. And yes, we hunt turkeys similar to hunting elk. The spot and stalk, close the distance. You have a shooter and a caller, and you set up, and same exact way.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, so that was last year. I got the two gobblers, and we had quite a bit of luck calling and everything. And fast forward to when I went to Kansas. So I went to some private property, very restricted hunting. There's not a bunch of every Tom, Dick, and Harry getting to hunt, and quite a few birds. And I'm hunting with Chris Parrish. Chris Parrish is one of the most decorative turkey callers of all time. He's won every calling contest there is, it seems like, and he's been doing it for 3 or 4 decades. So the guy knows how to call birds, right? We couldn't really buy a turkey to come to us, right? But as he explains it, he's like, it has a lot to do with, the timing of the turkey breeding season. If there's a lot of hens up moving, a lot of times it's just really hard to outcompete a real life hen. You'll do your calling, and they'll do some calling, and pretty soon that old Tom, he's like, well, I've got 5 or 6 of them right here. I'm just going to follow them wherever they go. It's really hard to break them loose sometimes. Sometimes you can get some jakes to come over during that time, but what's really, really great is when those hens start laying, sitting on their nests, and then there's not hens out and about everywhere. So then toms are on the prowl. They're a lot more callable. So, and it's kind of hard. It's almost a luck of the draw. Like some years it's, this week, and the next year it's the following week when you're going to have your prime time calling. So we end up hunting turkeys like deer. Yeah, a lot. We'd go set up, it's like, okay, we know they've been strutting, they've been feeding up in this little field, this little food source. So we set up on the edge of the timber there and just sit and do some calling and just wait. Do some calling and wait. And sometimes they'd come in, sometimes they wouldn't. Those hens can be kind of jealous too. So they're like, there's hens over there, I'm not going to go. Let's go this way, big guy. And they'll take that tom away to a different location. So ended up getting a really nice bird out there. We did get one that had come in, and he did come to the calls, and it's a really cool setup, and so fortunate enough to get him. But it's funny. It's like you said, though. There's one time those things just come in madder than as can be, or curious as can be, and then the next time, I mean, it's it's like pulling teeth to try to get one of those toms to come into range.
I have a video of Dave calling this tom, and every time he would scratch that little call, it would gobble back, but it would never come close. I mean, this was 25 minutes probably. He just sat there doing that. And then we realized that he was down this little ravine and up the other side. And so he was probably looking at us right where that call was coming from the whole time. And we started trying to, pick him out and see where he was at, but we just couldn't spot him at all. With your comment about the hen sitting and then the toms becoming more active, do you think there's like a correlation there with elk calling, as far as like when the cows lay down, the elk are up moving and they'll be reacting more? Just out of curiosity on that.
Well, I really love, my favorite time to hunt, like big bulls, mature bulls, is the middle of the day when the cows are bedded down. Everybody's taking a nap. Bulls, they usually have a bedding area that's pretty defensible to where they feel pretty comfortable. Like, okay, these cows aren't going nowhere, and they're pretty defensive of that spot. And I get close and start calling, and a lot of times I'll get those big bulls to come out, because a lot of times if you're trying to chase them in the morning, they just kind of bugle and run. But if you can find them in their bedding area and get them up, then a lot of times, they're not going to run. They're going to the cows are laying there. They're not going anywhere. I'm going to get up and stop this guy. It's kind of like stopping a crackhead at the curb before he comes and knocks on your door, right? A bull wants to catch you before you come in there and make a mess of things.
Yeah. I'm always trying to draw these little correlations between species, just out of my own, I guess, curiosity, but also just to know what I'm up against. Because we're calling, we use cow calls in elk hunting, but we're primarily calling with a hen call to a tom that had, typically or could possibly have hens. And there's this thing there. The hens are stopping the tom from coming possibly, or the hens are doing their own thing and don't care, and the tom's want to be with these ladies he has in his hand. And then when they sit, that's the opportunity to strike his curiosity to bring him in. So have you found when you're turkey hunting, have you found there's a distance that's best to bring him in? If, say you call and you get a gobble back, how far do you feel that tom is going to come away from hens that are sitting in order to get a new hen or come to your call?
Well, those things are, as soon as those hens go set, then they just go on the prowl. Those toms, they're just like, okay, there's no action here to be had. And then they're just on the prowl at that point. And they'll cover quite a bit of country, looking for other hens. And, so yeah, you just never know. You might see one, you may see him trotting across the field for a quarter mile, and go over into the next big woodlot, to check out the hens over there, see if there's any receptive hens. But those things can cover a lot of country. And then sometimes they're funny. Like I called in two birds one day, and they would not get close enough. I'm like, I think they're close enough. And so I take a shot with my shotgun, right? And they weren't close enough.
I should have bought that TSS round.
Yeah, they just ran away. This is a long time ago. They just ran away. It's kind of the way they ran was kind of the direction I had to walk back to the truck. So I'm walking back to the truck, and I get back to the truck, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm going to give a crow call here and see if I can hear a turkey over here. And I crow call. And bam, they answer. And I'm positive it's those same two birds that I'd called in earlier, because it was just the kind of the roundabout way that they would get there. And I walked about 100 yards from my pickup and set up, and those things about ran me over. They come right in, came in a dead rut. I shot one at 10 yards.
Nice.
And
it's the best kind.
That's a
surprisingly. I've heard that from other people too. Sometimes you'll split up a flock or shoot and miss, and they'll all scatter. But if you can kind of see which way they're going and just kind of get back over and get around and get set up over in that area, it's like game on again. So, yeah. But sometimes they may not be quite as smart or sometimes they may not be as smart as the first time, or sometimes they might be smarter. I just haven't, from my personal correlation, I just haven't had it be consistent,
Yeah, the good part about turkey hunting is they don't smell you.
You'd never kill one.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you tried looping around them, they'd be gone. They're that's the one advantage, but their eyesight is impeccable. So they got that little periscope head. They just you can't see the rest of their body, but they'll poke up that little head and be like, oh, there's a guy, gone.
Yep.
Kind of like elk over a ridge, they, as soon as they can see that spot, nothing there, out of here. Or they see something, they're gone. And that I've seen that periscope head. You actually shot one, Dave, when he poked his head up. You said,
yep.
But you heard him milling around first.
Yeah, so I was coming up on this area that we hunt. There's this ridge, and usually you'll go up and over the ridge and back down into this flat area, and that's usually where the birds are. So we'll get up on the ridge, call from the ridge, get something going, and come back down. Well, the gobbles that I was hearing were on private property. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to head back up to the ridge, call some more, and try to find some other birds. Well, as I was going up to the ridge, I saw a bird. I didn't know if it was a tom or a hen. I just saw something. I was like, oh, there's a bird. I start walking a little bit more. Boom, I see a beard, and he kind of like drops back down in this little dip, and then he just pokes his head up, and I let one fly and blasted him. So
Perfect.
little telescope head, that was all that was there, but it was all red. I could tell it was a tom.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just all,
That's a good target.
Oh, yeah.
Lines up with a front bead very nicely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
just boom, just let him have it, and it was fun. I was a solo hunt, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. It was colder than heck. It was snowing and raining, and all the good weather when you have in spring.
Well, mountain, eastern side mountain spring. I was watching a pack video today. This guy, he was a seer trainer for a long time. He was talking about packs and pack weights, and it was nothing to do with hunting. But he was saying, like, whatever you're doing, make sure that you pack for that. He's saying, don't bring a 100-pound pack if you need a 20-pound pack. And he was saying, like, when you get to your destination or whatever your mission is, if you carried 100 pounds, you're less effective when you get there if it's more than what you needed when you're there.
Oh, of course. You're exerted all this energy to get to where you need to go, and then that's just the start.
He was saying, like, he would eat like 7,000 calories a day when he's on mission because they have 70-pound rucks, and they'd be going all day,
Wow.
But this was a military-related thing. But what are you bringing on your hunt, and what do you expect the weather to be?
Turkey season can be kind of fickle. You just never know. I'll have stuff for like cold weather. In Idaho, it may snow on you. In Oregon, it may snow on you. Or it may be 90 degrees.
Yep.
So I'm going to have, in the truck, I'll have, puffy jacket, warm stuff, long johns. But if it's a pretty bluebird day, no clouds in the sky, typically I'll probably go pretty light. I won't have any rain gear or anything. I'll go pretty light. If it's somewhat cloudy and there's a chance of rain, I'll throw a rain jacket in, and that way I can shade up under a tree and put my rain jacket on and maybe wait out the storm if it doesn't rain all day. But I kind of dictates what the weather's supposed to be and what I'm looking at. So
I've always been curious for those. I always see people with those turkey hunting vests. They have like a seat attached to the back, and it seems like it'd be nice if I lived in a spot where, like, that's all I needed, right? I mean, like, that'd be really sweet just for me to have only that. But we're packing up because we're out hiking all day. We have to go up a pretty nice sized ridge, and we like to say that nobody goes up that hill, but we're like the only people up there when we get there because it's that steep. So, but I'm envious of people that get to pack light. Like a nice lowland hunt or somewhere down south where you just see them in a vest. They go in their little stand and that's it. It's like, that'd be so awesome just to chill out like that. So this year, we've had a lot of snow. So, I mean, I don't even know what it looks like where we're going to go. But last season, it's still kind of snowy up there when we went. So I'm anticipating there being more snow there this year than last year. So, I'm kind of uncertain about what we're going to encounter, but I'm going to probably overpack just to make sure that I'm not lacking anything, because nothing's worse than, sitting there miserably cold.
Well, it's nice about at least how we turkey hunt. We're just out of the truck, so we can bring the kitchen and the tub and all that stuff and just kind of like figure out what we're going to pack in the actual pack for the day. But yeah, usually at camp, we're pretty cozy.
Yeah, when we get back and sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that up the hill day, then that's the point that gets you.
Yeah, bringing definitely a lot of snacks, a lot of calories, and a lot of water, and then getting it done.
It almost seems like it shouldn't be that way. Like you said, Dirk, making it as easy as you want or as hard as you want. We have a guy, Burgess, that goes with us, and he's like your buddy. He's older. He doesn't seem like he gets around very much. He kind of moseys around camp, but he always gets where he's going. He's like, it might take him twice as long, but he's getting to that spot. And he'll be back at camp a couple times. He's got back to camp before us. And he's like, well, guys, you see anything? And we're like, nope. And he's like, don't go look at that log. It's covered in blood. Because we have a turkey skinning log, and we're like, you got to be shitting me every time, and this guy goes out and he calls them in, just, doing it his way. It's pretty slick.
Yeah. One thing I found about turkey hunting is, it might even be better to do it like that guy does, kind of a slow game, or, taking it nice and easy, not being in a rush, not being very patient. That can really pay off. Sometimes the guy gets a little too anxious and pushes up too hard, and you get picked off. And, like Chris, when we were in Kansas, Chris was saying, a lot of times, these birds will come off the roost, and then those hens will just drag them right away from you. You're sitting there, they're talking to you. As soon as they come off the roost, they don't even come near you. They go in the opposite direction. But he said, it's good to kind of stick around in that area, because you've planted those seeds to that tom, or the toms. There may be multiple toms there, to let him know that there's other hens over this way. So when those other hens go lay, then he'll come circle back around and be like, hey, where were those ladies at over here? He said, he's like, if you want to be patient and, you don't want to be too physical, you can always, just play the slow game. When we're in Kansas, we take these little seats, these little chairs we sit on, and they're super low. They're probably 6 inches off the ground, kind of a little folding chair. Man, those things are awesome for comfort wise. So when we were hunting them like deer, or whenever you're trying to do that real patient game, having a comfortable seat is paramount, because about the time you get uncomfortable and start shifting around and stuff, that's when the turkey comes in and sees you and runs away, right? So those little chairs were invaluable. Now, to pack them around in a mountain hunt would probably not be super feasible. But like when I go to Oregon, I'll have my same pack I use for elk hunting, right? I'll have my snacks and my stuff in there. No big meat bags. I'll have one meat bag for throw the turkey in, but I will carry a little foam pad just to pop out and just sit on. Anytime I want to sit down, I'm going to sit on that foam pad. That way I don't get my butt wet, or maybe it's rocky or whatever. I'm going to be comfortable. So that's a pretty important, making sure you're comfortable when you're sitting. That way you can sit for a while and not jump the gun and get up and scare the turkeys away about the time they're coming in.
Yeah, that's the dichotomy. Or is that what it is? The dichotomy. Do I get up now? Do I wait 5 minutes? Is he just around the corner? Like, I've had a million thoughts like that, same way.
Yeah.
Because I get antsy. I'm sitting there and because I have that experience. Let's grab the lights. Sorry. I had that experience where that tom came running in, and it happened pretty quick. And I have the expectation, like, this is how it's going to be from now on, or that's my desire. So I kind of, if it doesn't happen that way, I get to the point where I'm like, I got to move. Something's got to change. They're not close, but I could be, jumping the gun early and actually kicking stuff off that's coming to me at the time.
Exactly. Yeah. And they will come in quiet too. Some toms will just come in real quiet until they get fairly close. Like Devin and I last year, we had a couple toms gobble way off in the distance. And then 20 minutes later, they're right in front of us, and they didn't make a peep until they're probably 30 yards away. You can kind of hear them just putting along, and then boom, they're right there. It was crazy. And they can close the distance fast. I mean, those turkeys can run fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it. Last year, I think I brought that little seating pad, because the year before, I got the rocky ground treatment on the rear end where you can't sit still very long. Even if you wanted to, you're just like, oh man, you got to move side to side.
Yeah, I got something poking you.
Then sometimes my legs go numb. Like I'll get like this. Maybe it's a sciatica or something. I don't know what it is, but my right leg will go numb from sitting on something hard too long.
Oh yeah.
So I gotta stay off and kind of wiggle my leg a little bit just to get it to come back alive. But
I got a couple of little light seats too that I haven't really been bringing to turkey camp at all. We can pack those in. I'll bring them this year. We'll be nice and comfortable.
Yeah, I think we should sit longer, than we have been.
Yeah,
just give that the opportunity. See, here we go. Already, he's like,
Yeah, I need to be a little bit. It's me. I usually push. I usually give it. I don't really sit for too long. I'm like, all right, time to go. Every time.
Got to give it a shot, though. You got to keep it
Every
working.
time.
So, you say you're going down. You're going to bring your pot calls, turkey calls. You use your hunting pack. Anything other notable additions you're going to bring that's something out of the ordinary?
Do you use decoys at all? Because I know for me, I sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't, and it seems like I've been pretty successful without using them at all.
Yeah, I typically don't use them, but hunting with other people sometimes do. And there's like Chris Parrish, he talks about decoys a lot, depending on what you're set up. Some people like to set up a Jake decoy, to just get that Tom to come in there to beat up that Jake. But if you have a large Jake population, you got to kind of be careful with that, because a lot of times those Jakes will gang up and they'll go beat the snot out of a mature Tom. And they'll run him off away from the hens. If there's a gaggle of them, 6 or 8 of them Jakes, they'll come over and put a thumping on a Tom and run him off. So a lot of times those mature Toms, if there's a lot of Jakes in the area, then they're a little bit leery of a Jake decoy. They're like, oh, that's a Jake decoy. The one I shot last year in Kansas, we had a Jake decoy come set up, and then he was coming, and he got to where he could see that Jake decoy, and he just stopped and put his head up, and it was freak out time. He was about ready to go, and luckily he was close enough and I got him. But if I would have waited any longer, he would have been gone. That Jake decoy kind of spooked him. He was a big old Tom too, but a gang beats up one old man, right?
He was thinking twice. He was like, "Oh, I've been in this one before."
Probably looked left and right before he took off running. Like, where your buddies at? So Jake's staying home.
Yeah. But, at times, decoys work great. A lot of times where I hunt, a lot of it's pretty thick country to where, a lot of brush and stuff. So you just really can't see a decoy really easily until they're in range anyway. So a lot of times we won't use a decoy. But if you knew, let's say there was a pasture or a field or a glade or a meadow that turkeys are been strutting and you've been seeing them feeding in there, definitely be good to set out a hen decoy there and do some calling and set up in the edge of the timber and see if you can get one to come by. Yeah,
I've never considered that gang of Jakes before.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. He said, yeah, that's a real thing, at least back in Kansas. I don't know if that's, well, he's hunted all over the South, and I'd never heard that before. Yeah, I think it's kind of fascinating that they have that, kind of pack mentality when there's a bunch of them. They've calculated like, hey, this guy can take us one-on-one, but if the 4 of us go in there, one of us is getting that hen. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Who's going first? Put it out there, man. He's like, I don't even have a beard yet. Like, you're going first. You got to do it. It's for the group betterment here.
Take one for the team.
Yeah, that's awesome. We all have to have a partner like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's a cool thing, man. So some of these things you're saying, they're all new to me. The Jake thing.
I've never heard that one before.
Some of the
that was new to me too. Last year is the first time I'd ever heard that.
It makes complete sense. Because even though they're Jakes, they still have that same mentality. Like, they still want to go and breed these hens, and their options aren't very good unless they, get the Tom out of the way.
Yeah.
In some cases, but taking your time can beat going fast. Run and gun or sitting. The time of day, waiting for the hens, and then if you run them off in the morning and you call in, that Tom is going to remember where that sound came from. So when his hens sit, he might return to you. So these are concepts where talking about this could change the game for you.
Yeah. Here's one that changed the game for me one time. This was my very first bird I'd ever shot. I'd go out before work in the morning and locate these birds, and I had just very little time now, like 30 minutes or so. I'd pull over on my way to work, chase out there, see if I could get a bird, and then I'd have to leave. But there was always this one little knoll, little elevated knoll in a clear cut where these turkeys would just be strutting and just gobbling their heads off every morning. I could never get them off that knob. And it was so well protected, like they could see it coming for 300 yards. So one day I got off work early. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go up there and I'm going to lay down in the grass in that knoll, and there's some stumps and stuff. There's a little bit of cover. I'm just going to go up there and lay down until this evening. And those birds, if they're there in the morning, they're probably roosted close by somewhere. So maybe I'll get them coming back by heading to the roost in the evening. So went out there, laid down, took a nap, and it was a beautiful day, nice and warm. And I got there and I got out my old box call and did some yelping for a while, and nothing. So I just kind of lay in there and just kind of fell asleep. And then I was rudely interrupted. Bam! This turkey gobbles, like right there. like I'm like, I open my eyes. I'm like, oh man, I'm afraid to move. I don't know where he's at. And so I like slowly roll over. There was just a little enough grass where he couldn't see me, and roll over, and I raise my head up, and I see him, and he's strutting, and he's got his back to me.
Oh man.
So I'm like, oh man, here we go. So as soon as he turned, he was like 20 yards away, if that. So pretty soon he turns around and bam, I shoot him. And, I was just like, man, I got this turkey hunt figured out. Right?
Just got to take a nap.
See, if it was me, I'd be laying down everywhere now. I'm like, I just need to go take a nap.
Yeah.
They're gonna pop up right here in front of me, no problem.
It's that first hunt success,
Yep. That was awesome.
Yeah, ambushed.
But I think the big key takeaway is, if you're seeing them in the morning coming off the roost, try to get back on that pathway that they're taking. If they haven't been disturbed, chances are they may go roost in that same tree again. So go set up along that pathway that takes them back to that roost tree in the evening. And chances are you could probably get a tom come by and check you out.
Awesome. Man, well, do you have anything to add, Dave?
No, not really. I actually just bringing it all in. I think all the information that, anybody can gather is just going to help them in the long run, right? I wouldn't say I'm the best turkey hunter out there, but I do love turkey hunting, and I've gotten it done a few times.
Well, I'm definitely not even close to anything considered the best of that.
No, not at all.
It's like I
don't think you can be.
There's guys that are out there, they live in the turkey woods, and that's all they do. I just look forward to this season just because it's here now. Last year was good. We had a good time. We had a lot of encounters. And
yeah.
We were on the cusp of, I don't know how many turkeys were down that hill right below us, but we were on the cusp of tagging. It just didn't come together. And you have seasons like that. They're birds, really. I mean, what are you going to do? They do what they want. They wander around. I mean, you'd have to lay down on their spot sometimes, to get one, So aside from that, I mean, it's a new opportunity this season, and we've got more tricks in our bag, and we got some new calls we're excited about.
Yeah, definitely.
We're gonna give them a heck of a time out there.
Yeah, and it was just great having Dirk, having you on and talking something other than elk.
Yeah. Which is weird because
we'll sprinkle a little bit of elk in there, but
yeah, we give a little elk pepper on there.
Well, I'm by no means not any kind of a turkey hunting expert. I've shot quite a few over the years, and I think it's like any kind of hunting. You just gotta put in your time and kind of learn. And there's a lot of really good information by a lot of people that are really good at it. And if you can listen to what they have to say and then kind of put that in your little quiver of ideas and tactics, then I think just about anybody can have success in the turkey woods. And like I said, I had Chris Parrish with me. The guy's shot countless turkeys, won countless championships, and even sometimes the best get skunked. So don't let that sink your ship. There's going to be days that's terrible, and the next day it'll turn around and you'll be like, oh, these are the easiest bird to kill on the face of the earth.
I did hear from a guy. It was an old timer on a TV show. He was turkey hunting, and he had killed like 800 turkeys in his life. It was just an ungodly amount of turkeys. And he said one thing he would focus on turkey hunting. The most important thing to turkey hunting is whatever you're doing at the moment. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And he just got into this, like, whatever you're doing right now is affecting the next thing. So focus now, next thing will happen. Focus then and focus then. And he just broke it down into this segment. Like, every time you hit the call, that's the most important thing. It's not the next call. It's this one, you know. And
right.
I mean, after 800 birds, you got to pay attention to what the man says. It seemed like he knew what he's talking about, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm going to keep that in mind this year. Focus on what we're doing now. You know, move with intent.
It's basically telling you just don't half-ass it. You know what I mean? Because that's, you know, breaking it down in a nutshell. You know, don't half-ass it. Make sure that every single step and every single thing that you're doing is that focus at that point. So
it goes into all aspects of life. You know, I think that it has a bigger meaning, you know.
Oh, yeah.
The NCAA Final Four just happened. You know, they had all the championships are over, and every single shot in those games came down to that shot. I mean, they had some that were buzzer beaters in the end.
Yeah.
And so you can have a turkey buzzer beater if you pay attention.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
That's what I'm looking for. I don't want the buzzer beater. I don't want to break it down that late. I want an early morning first day bird, and then I'll buzzer beat it at the end.
Then we'll go buy another tag and make it be a buzzer beater.
There you go.
Yeah, I buy 2 anyway, just so I donate if I don't get anything. And it's twice as much tag soup if you do. So there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, got any questions, Dave? Anything else?
Any other hunts that you have lined up for this turkey season? I know you're heading to Oregon. You might hunt at home in Idaho. Are you heading back east, or?
I'm tentatively heading to Kansas again, so I'm still trying to put that together. But I'll probably go back there, and then in June I'm going to try to go bear hunting in Wyoming. So I've got a good buddy that lives over there, and he's going to set up a bait, and we're going to go try to get a bear.
Nice.
So.
Nice.
Do you know if you guys are they going to have any more of those line one pot calls coming out?
No, those are all gone. So they were here for a limited time only, kind of like the McRib.
Yeah,
I probably won't bring it back 8 times.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was looking at those, and those were super nice looking. I was like, dang,
that was when they first came out. Yeah,
just like something you'd hang on a wall, just keep it. You know.
Yeah.
It seemed like, you know, good feng shui.
As you can see, they're so pretty. I mean, you hate to, like, first thing you do is, like, with a glass or a crystal pot call is scratch up the surface, you know, and rough it up so you can get some good sweet turkey sounds off that crystal. And man, it almost seems like wrong to do that. It's like, man, this thing's so pretty, I don't want to scratch it up.
Yeah, they were gorgeous, man. I was drooling on them. And I was like, there's 20 other things I need to do right now. So, all right. Well, we're coming up on an hour, and I know you're an hour later than us. I don't want to hold you too long. So, do you have any final closing thoughts for the turkey season for us? Or any last minute pointers?
I just think, just kind of, I feel like it's just like elk hunting, right? You can get discouraged, but just stick with it. You know, you're going to have some good times, you're going to have some bad times and highs and lows. And if you haven't had a bunch of highs and lows, you probably didn't have a real good turkey hunt, right? You shoot one on the first day and go home, that'd be way too easy. Mm-hmm. But you got to kind of suffer through a little bit, I think, you know, some highs and lows. And then this year with a lot of snowpack in a lot of places, then, you know, don't try to go too high. You know, turkeys usually follow the snow line up from wherever it's at, and they love the edge of those snow lines, just where get some wet meadows where there's some little green stuff starting to pop up. They love those places. They're out there looking for snails and for little green tidbits to eat. And just don't try to go too high. Maybe, you know, where you typically go if there's a lot of snow, just you might get skunked. And then just cover country. If you're not finding birds, cover country. You know, get in your truck, get your binoculars, and if you have clear cut country that you're hunting, you know, glass the clear cuts. Do, you know, ton of road gobbling, a road calling, you know, cover a bunch of ground until you get into some birds that are gobbling, and it's like, okay, we found some, now we can hunt. But but don't be afraid to cover a ton of country until you find birds. Because sometimes you get a weird spring that's a late spring or whatever, they may be in a little different place than where you normally find them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
It is.
Yeah, just don't give up.
Stick with it and locate the birds. Don't get too high. They don't probably live in the snow, looking they're looking for that fresh food. Mm-hmm. So hunt where there's fresh food and
find the food, you're going to find the birds.
Yeah. Maybe you'll scratch one up.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, this is going to be the end of the show, but we are going to give away 2 Phelps game called Diaphragm. So we're going to have 2 winners at the end of this week. So
this will be the last opportunity before the season kicks off.
Well, at least for Washington. So in some spots it was some of them started on the 3rd.
Yeah, I've been seeing pictures online. People, bunch of turkeys.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, just give me a couple more weeks. Give me a couple more weeks. So yes, be looking for that. The giveaway will be on YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook. And how we're doing it, all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel and comment below on the giveaway video, and you're entered to win.
Easy as can be. Awesome. Well, we appreciate everybody for watching. Dirk, we appreciate you for coming in here and sharing your knowledge with us, and hopefully you have a great season in Oregon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
My pleasure. Good luck to you guys this spring.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Dirk. Have a good night.
Yep. You too.